Hello. I had to double check that, make sure it recorded correctly. What you're seeing is somewhat of a schizophrenic conspiracy meltdown, except it's about my own work. Um, the title is my stupid music and why it takes me stupid long to make stupid music. So this album, I've been working on it for probably the better part of like 5 months, give or take. Originally, it was just called SK Tape 1 because I don't count my work prior to this as a consistent whole. Now, what I want to do in this video is talk about the themes to give you guys a bit of a preview of the unfinished work and to kind of talk about the discourse, or to have some discourse, I should say, not talk about the discourse, of my idea. Now, I'm a producer. I make mostly instrumental music. So, how do you convey a message through just the music alone? Especially for hip hop, it's such a linguistic, kind of poetic, verbal type of music. And I've decided that I'm going to leave most up to the interpretation of the listener because I find that to be the most palatable when it comes to music in general. That being said, I will talk about the main theme of the album that subconsciously came to me. I don't really plan my work because when I plan my work, it falls apart. Instead, what I've decided is I would pick out samples, any sample, regardless of whether, it's been done to death or whatever. If I like it, it goes in a track. I fuck with it. I pitch it up, pitch it down. I stretch it. I run it through different filters. I run it through like Audacity and Paul Stretch. I do anything to it that I want. I add my own little flourishes and I find the connecting threads. So, what is the theme going so far? Trains. There's a reason I got autism crossed out up there. I swear I'm not autistic. But the more I noticed, the first 3 tracks kind of emulated that vibe. And the more I like it, because I'm not specifically talking about literal trains. I'm talking about train of thought. But I do like the aesthetic of the idea of a train. So, I have incredibly hard time sleeping. My schedule's always all over the place. And it's because my brain doesn't know when to shut off. So I decided to take you in an audio sense through my brain while I'm trying to sleep. So that was one thing I noticed. The other thing is dual meanings and dual songs. Instrumental albums, I feel, don't get the attention that they deserve because of the length. Specifically hip-hop instrumental albums. Most hip-hop instrumentals are typically repetitive. So what I wanted to do, and this is most, not all, obviously, is do something that one of my favorite producers and favorite rappers did, is make shorter songs. Speaking of Mad Villain, that is MF Doom and Madlib. And what I decided to do is, instead of having like 31-minute songs, I would have one set of like maybe 10 to 13 songs, but each of the songs is split up in two. Although now I've gone to the idea of having three instead, because the intro three just fit very well together, I think, so far. So, dual songs to keep the ideas short, to keep the vibes there, and to make it unique. Another aspect of this album is me trying to fit in ambient works that I like. Specifically, I've used Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse and some vintage ambient music. I could go over the samples, all of them. There's a ton, but there's also a lot of original work that I'm going to be putting in there, or I have already. So, that's a lot of talking. How about I play the first track and explain my dumb little music?
SK14.
So I'm pausing here because this was originally going to be a different, like, it was going to be the first track, but I decided that the second half I had planned for it how it is did not fit. Didn't fit the theme. Maybe I might rework it into something else, but right now it doesn't fit the theme. So this is the first of a third of the first track. The song's called Terminal. Now, obviously, we have a definition of terminal in regards to trains. They call it station normally, but terminal, I think, works just as fine. But terminal, as in the thought of, initially, this could be my last album. God knows what could happen. But it also means a place you leave, a place you go, you arrive to. And it's where I've arrived at my current work. Now, in the sense of the album, this is me before I go to bed. This is departure, for lack of a better word. Before I try to close my eyes and not think of the things that I was thinking about when I'm awake. Like the sample, this year, talking big stuff, rolling around the city, rolling around the city is mainly a joke I wanted to sneak in because of wheelchair, haha, funny. But I want to do big things this year. My last year was a depressive wreck. I tried to kill myself a year ago, and I don't want to do that. I want to live. I want to make art. I want to do better. So, it's very upbeat, very busy. There's many samples going on in there, and maybe one day I'll go over all of the samples I used. But this leads into the Well, I should say actually first, the intro is from a Russian song, which is like again, it's like a happy hardcore song about trains, and it sounds like a terminal, like talking about like and the song is literally about like a train, specifically a subway or something in Russia, I believe. I'm bad at translation, but that leads into the next song, which is called "All Aboard." That, or the next part, I should say, not the next song, because the song full title is Terminal parentheses 2, All Aboard parentheses the, and then Night Rain, which we'll get to those when we get to those. I'm going to play All Aboard parentheses the Night Rain back to back. You know, the thing I was literally just trying to do was unplug my MIDI thing so I didn't fuck it up, and I fucked it up, so I apologize. Continuing. Okay, so where to begin? Obviously, you can see why this was originally all aboard. Um, it had that whoop whoop, which is another sample from another electronic dance music song about trains. Just because I like the noise and I thought it fit, and everything kind of really came together. Now, granted, first track, Terminal, is mostly done. All Aboard, Night Rain, 65%. Nowhere near done with that yet. But I think you can grasp where I'm going with the direction. We go all aboard. Train's kicking off. Things are kicking up. But there is a vocal sample that says break, break, which I'm going to scratch eventually. I need to get around to it. I haven't been in the mood. But it's gonna trying to force myself to slow down, to kind of unwind. And then we kind of transition, and there's two interesting details that I put in so far as those little vocal sample in the first one that goes oh oh oh, which was incredibly influenced by Beach House, but that is not a Beach House sample. I really like what was it, Ilangelo did with Beach House's work on the Weeknd's early material, specifically Loft House or Loft House. Was it that? Something like that. Anywho, then we have the break, which gets hit, and it leads into the first sampling of an ambient piece. I believe it's the first sampling of an ambient piece, which is sampling Iron, Cthulhu, Apocalypse, one of my favorite dark ambient groups, and that is my favorite song by them, called Nightlands. It's fucking 8 hours long, and it helps me sleep almost every time. But I wanted to use it in a different way, because I know most people don't fall asleep to dark ambient because it's scary. Although I would say Nightlands is like their most melodic, and that's kind of what I like about it. I wish they would do more tracks like Nightlands. Most of their stuff is very cerebrally bassy, kind of noise influence, which is, I get it, that's part of the deal. Ain't no thing. I'm not hating. I like some of their other stuff too that isn't, but I really like the subtle melodies in this, which you can kind of hear because I've did a bit of pitching up, speeding up, but I also did a little bit of reverse stretching on it, and I layered it with this chant sample, which I cannot name for the life of me right now, but I felt like it added to the dark atmosphere at the time, and I figure this is like the first stop, right? Is the dark, what the blankness in my brain, what that leads to. And then you hear that other vocal sample, that kind of carrying that same motif from the prior song. And I guess it's just kind of that initial void, but there's still motion. You can see my brain still kicking in the background. Not to mention the percussion on the first part, or I should say the second part, All Aboard. That percussion on the beginning is very train-like, and that's another little thing I've added for this album, which is the use of live drumline stuff. And there is a very good reason I do that, because my dad, when I was very young, got me into drum corps, which is, for lack of, I know people are gonna, like, people who know are gonna say this isn't accurate, but it's like marching band, but more brass and snare. There's a bit more to it, and modern drum corps is kind of going into a different direction that my dad and I don't really like, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But I like drum noises. I like live drum lines. I like that snare. I love what Death Grips do with those drum samples, like on Tachyon, you know? So I wanted to work in a bit of that, along with my own little programmed drum line. I have real samples of drum lines and also cheer samples, because I felt like they kind of fit, and you'll hear a little bit more of that soon. Going forward, though, from that, um, I would like to say that again, these are not finished. These are basically demos. The first track is the most finished, and I still have to add effects. I still have to mix. I still have to master. I still have to tweak. So you're gonna have to bear with me. There's a lot of things I gotta fix in All Aboard and Night Rain. Now, obviously, the titles All Aboard, haha, choo choo, funny train noise. But the second half, Night Rain. Originally, I named it Night Train, but I think Rain fits better because it ties into the next song. But I left that hyphen or whatever the fuck there so you could fit it in. It's like, oh, Night Rain, Night Train, nigh train, nigh a train, whatever, if you want to add that on there. So, where we're at, going to bed, calming down, black out the thoughts still pop in, and this next song is a bit of a stretch to kind of connect, but you'll see. It's called Miles, fog ahead, and you'll see the kind of direction I'm doing basically with the 1 to 2 minute long first half, 1 to 2 minute long second half. I may do a third for the closer. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is why, again, things kind of take long because I don't want to rush. I want to let it come to me and not plan. I don't want to plan ahead. Corpse God's thing, I planned it ahead 3 separate times, and each of them I ended up disliking in the end. I might release the demos. Who knows? That's why with metal lately, I've just been doing collabs with Shrimp because that's my homie, and he is my brother from another mother, and he is a great vocalist. Now, will we metal on this? Probably not. I don't foresee myself doing metal. I wanted this to be my legacy for hip hop. Not saying this will be my last release, but I've, after a suicide attempt, my second, I realized I might not be here for long, and I want to leave something. And I've left music, and you guys, some of you like it. I'm just talking to no one right now. I don't know who really likes my fucking music. Maybe you guys just listen to it out of a friendship thing. Like, oh, he's cool. I like his funny, dumb jokes and commentary over weirdos. But I'm an artist. I want to do this for the rest of my life, no matter how long. And this is going to be my legacy, and at least what I want to be until I come out with something new. That's an album. And I know albums are antithetical to the monetization of an artistic career, and I get that. And I sound probably pretentious as fuck. I'm not autistic, but I sound I sound autistic. But I'll do singles and stuff, and I want to get back to doing funnier songs like Bustin' Boys 3 and all that parody stuff of cows and all that, and I really like doing that stuff. But I feel like I need to do this for my soul, which is something we will touch on in the album eventually. The idea of my soul, because I've done a lot of thinking about that, but that's not even... I can't even show you that because it's literally just the sample and nothing else. I'm not trying to steal music with this album. That's another thing I should mention. I wanted to use samples because sampleism is built into hip hop. It was built upon those things. And whether you think it's stealing or whatever, I don't consider it personally. And I know I can write and create any aspect of music if I really put my hand to it, but I chose sampling for 2 reasons. One, it's a concrete part of hip hop, and I want to express myself through that medium. And I don't want to charge anyone for this. This is for me. So it will be for free. I can't legally sell it to be, with the samples to begin with, but even if I could, I won't. I will start leaving a Cash App or tip jar for people who like my stuff, but there will be no incentive to do it if you don't want to, and it's fine. So, that was a lot of yammering. God, we're going on 25 minutes. How about I go get my charcoal and I play the next song? Mind you, remember, all what I've played is going to be one whole track already. Terminal to All Aboard the Night Train, or Night Rain. Or if you get rid of the parentheses, Terminal, All Aboard, Night Rain. So the next song is Miles, parentheses, of Fog Ahead. And don't skip ahead. If you're actually listening to this, tell me why it's named Miles outside of the train metaphor. And I will see you when we get back.
You did a lot of bad things. I think you said you were pimping for a while.
Is that bad? Is that bad?
Okay. So, this song, did you guess why it's called Miles, aside from the train metaphor? If you did, if you just said because Miles Davis is in the intro, you're goddamn right. Miles Davis is a huge inspiration of mine. He's why I picked up a piano and decided to play. His philosophy of music is a huge shaper of why I want to make music and why it enamored me. Like, it always enamored me, but when I watched interviews and I heard his music, I heard something in me in that music. And my goal ever since then is to put out music that makes someone else feel anything like that. But let's go into a bit more detail. Miles is a much more upbeat song. And by the way, before anything, I know it's about pimping the sample, but I find it just kind of funny. But I also think it also reflects kind of a good introspective thought. Like, is pimping bad? Is this bad? Me kind of reflecting on my own thoughts on things. It kind of represents that. Just, oh, fuck, I don't know, maybe, yeah. Anyway, so we got our first Cheer sample. And we also got a very famous sample that Kanye used, because Kanye is also a big inspiration in my music in general. Although that isn't technically from Kanye, it's a sample he sampled, so I'm sampling that sample, but I intend it to convey that transitional period. Now, again, these are not done. I still need to add bass, other instruments, etc., etc. And then we go into Fog Ahead, which is a much more lo-fi chill thing. And I would say out of all of these, I would say Fog Ahead needs the most work. But I felt like it would not be good to include it in this video. And at the end of Fog Ahead, you can hear a sample, which is from an 80s arcade, which leads us into Arcade. And we will talk about why Arcade is called Arcade after it is done playing. And yeah, that's that. So, technically, this is the first half of the third song. I just wanted to go over arcade because arcade is named arcade for several reasons. One, because of the arcade intro to or outro of the last song, and that an arcade is, if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, it's like a originally Latin, Venetian, Italian way to describe structure, an arched structure, a gate, a gallery, and eventually became adopted into a modern day arcade where like video games are, but also used to mean shopping mall. So another thing you'll notice is like the cash counter noise, which will be kind of more spliced. You'll notice I'm using a lot of loop drums, and it's just so I can have something to base the beat around. I'm going to change most of these like I did with Terminal, unless it's like a specific drum sample from a specific cut that I like. But so the arcade is named arcade for several reasons. That intro, the guitar sound, which at the beginning and then I play at the end, has a very Latin vibe. But on top of that, I'm going to add a chiptune-esque synthesizer. That's on my next the next to-do list. And you're thinking, well, is it arcade? Trains don't have arcades. Well, they do in my brain. It could also just be a gallery, going through a gallery in my brain. Things that pop up in my brain. Money being one, which is on a track that I have not even started yet. I know I said I don't plan ahead, but I have the feel that it's going to come up. So to kind of explain that little effect at the end, that's called pulse stretching. It's done in Audacity, and I think it's a good way to kind of make ambient transitions. And I really like how that came out. That being said, again, not fully done. Need bass, need mixing, need better drums. The sample, I want to extend that ending bit so it flows better to this next one. But that is arcade. So open is the next thing. Now, open, obviously, in regards to an arcade, means you can come on in. But open, obviously, means being open. And that's why that play on words or whatever, I think works. Also, I forgot to put that it's going to be arcade is in parentheses. Just say arcade is open. So this is open in parentheses and is the last of the audio I have to show for this long, dumb video. So that is open and it is, no pun intended, not done. A lot of stuff I need to add. A lot of stuff. Right now it's very colored canvas. The colors are there. I just need to outline it, which is ass backwards and how I do most things. Open, obviously, it's hard to be open. It's hard to be introspective. It's hard to be honest with myself sometimes. And that ambient synth sample works very well. Drums need a lot of work. But there is a hyphen or a parentheses or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Fuck you. I'm just kidding. The next song would be I Have, parentheses, a little, which is sort of started, but not enough that I feel comfortable showing. And then money, parentheses, to spend, which is the money thing. So to give a little sneaky preview, the arcade is open. The gallery of my mind is open, but I have very little, and that includes money to spend. I have a little idea of what I am, where I'm going. Not enough. And then we go into stop 3, which is not written yet. These are all different stops, I guess, different sections of the album. And like I said, I want to have a theme without impressing it too much on the listener. But I want it to be in the background. And me explaining this might ruin the whole thing. But then again, who the fuck is going to listen to me rant for 42 minutes about music that who gives a fuck about? There's billions of music. Of music. That's probably not grammatically accurate, but out there. But this is why I've been taking so long with this. It's been on my mind, and every day I work at it. And it will get there. I can't say when, but I can say I have about 20 demos, and I've played you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And that's demos in the sense of like, okay, these are outlines. Where can I build? And not demos as in final product. And I know some producers can just DJ mustard and whip shit together. Like, I am not that. I am not. This might make it onto the B-sides, but I want to make a song called Fuck a Tight Beat because it is incredibly reductive to just ape other creators' vision and style. And to not just forge your own. Tyler, the Creator, forged his own. Kanye forged his own style. I emulate those guys way more than a lot of modern producers. Not to diss Mustard or whatever. Yes, they have their own style too, although I think Mustard's early work is subpar in regards to conveying any artistic message. It's just hyphy club schlop. But that's my negative critique, and who the fuck am I? I'm a cripple from New York who has no bitches and stacks no paper, as Seth would say. So I guess I want to leave off on a former song. We're gonna scratch that. Another idea that I had. Do I have it on here? No, I don't. My original album idea for hip hop was going to be a bit more that sounds gay. Not esoteric, but like a bit more of a literal story. And I might work this track into the album. I might keep the name, I might not, but this was Desert of Ash, and I posted the first demo of this. And I like what I've done with it. It has a sample bass of a was it Filipino school choir thing that I got? I forget. But I struggled to write even a single demo following up on this specific style. But the style I was doing was kind of ambient, thematic. My original goal was to make something postmodern and not postmodern in the sense of like, haha, I have a banana and I stapled it to a wall. No, I mean post-apocalyptic, maybe. I wanted to paint a picture of a desert of ash, a post-apocalypse, a society built in the post-apocalypse, but I realize that's done to death in media. But the ambient inclusion in the intro, the idea of finding anything I like and putting it in and fusing it with different drum styles and drum loops and techniques is very much or originates from this. So I think I'll cap it out with Desert of Ash, which might be on the album, might not be, but I like it, and I'll play it because I don't want to ramble anymore. And if you have been listening to me ramble, thank you. God help you. I'm sorry if I infected you with the tism. But I appreciate you. And if you like my music, I really appreciate you. And yeah, I'll be done eventually. I'm not giving up on this one. And that's that. Catch you next time.